Welcome to the Ecstatic Union, how to deepen intimacy and evolve through love. And we have a special guest, Emilia, today, who is specializing in sacred partnership. She's a dating, marriage, and relationship mentor, and she helps women all over the globe to align, attract, and build successful relationship with masculine men. So we are so excited to have you, Emilia. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Olia. I'm so excited to be here too. I can't wait to talk about this incredibly juicy topic, and it's so ready for New Earth. So it's important, so important. Thank you for putting this on.
Yeah, beautiful. I also know you did a huge production around sacred partnership.
Yeah.
And I know your devotion and passion around the subject. So I feel so excited to ask you all of the questions.
Let's go. Let's do it. I'm ready.
I know your commitment to sacred partnership, and that's how you choose to word it. What is sacred partnership? How is it different from ordinary relationship? Does it exist? Or what makes it so unique and special?
Oh, girl, I'm just going to go. That's such a good question. That's like the right question, the right first question. Okay, so basically, sacred partnership is a partnership where the feminine energy partner and the masculine energy partner, okay, are connected spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and sometimes even galactically. I'll just put that there for our starseed people.
Yeah.
Okay. So those kind of connections are not of 3D. They are connections that are beyond what we now understand as what relationships are on planet Earth. So in those kinds of relationships, there's no sacrificing. There's no compromising, which I know is crazy, but just hear me out. And there's no playing small. The whole point of those partnerships is synergy. Synergy means 1 + 1 is not 2. That's symbiosis. 1 + 1 is 5,000, 500,000, abundance, lavishness, right? Divine creation, co-creation. And so people who are in those kinds of unions, they understand that in order to achieve that kind of synergy, that kind of union that's co-creative, everyone has to be in their power. So it's completely opposite from what we've been taught.
Yeah.
Especially as women, right? About what it means to be a wife, to be a partner, to be the feminine counterpart, to be even a friend to our husband, right? Completely not that paradigm. We're on a whole other paradigm because we're building New Earth.
Yes. Yeah, this is so powerful. So yeah, it feels like it's a win-win. It's a synergy. It's something that serves the union itself, but it also serves, when you say 1 + 1 = 500 or 500,000, it also feels like it serves the bigger purpose or bigger collective. So it feels very, very expensive.
Exactly. Because if somebody's not playing small, if they're not compromising, if they're not sacrificing, and that person is in their power, then they're creating. And so is the partner. Right? So then if they're in divine feminine, divine masculine flow, which is the flow that is generated with the masculine, flows to the feminine receives and reciprocates. It flows back to the masculine gets to generate. This is the flow. This is the energy flow that is natural and nourishing to the polarities of the partners. That's their core polarities. They came into body to embody for most, but it's not absolutely everyone, but in general, we have the opportunity to be in a female body or male body, and that's not for show. That has a reason. It has a biochemical and a spiritual reason, right? And so that when that energy is flowing between the partners, and then they're not sacrificing, they're in their power and they're co-creating and they're nourished, what's possible?
Yeah, beautiful. I love this. And I love this is very common sign in Tantra. So when we talk about merging feminine and masculine, heaven and earth, so it's very, very tantric and sacred in a way. Also,
That's
I know
amazing.
yeah.
Because
Also,
I've never trained in Tantra, really. I went to like one Tantra puja, so I don't, like, I wouldn't say I come from that world.
yeah, it's a juicy world. And I know you still help couples with polarity in marriages, in, I think, establishing healthy polarity. Because I also know how you talk about polarity bros. So it's like, I hear you. So what is the difference? Okay, so we have people who are in committed relationship in marriages listening to us, and they're like, what the hell is polarity? Are there those guys that say that women should ask permission to go to the bathroom? I heard it personally. So a woman should ask her man to go to the bathroom. That's the level of surrender. Or what's going on? Talking about polarity. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the normal polarity seen at this time forgets about co-creation. It gets stuck in the polarity again, kind of like the 3D. It gets stuck on who's receiving and who's generating, and that's all. But we forget why we're receiving and generating, why we're allowing the energy to flow. And when you're in a sacred partnership, I'd say the masculine partner, because they're most nourished by being the generative energy, they are going to be allowed in a sacred partnership that functions well. They're going to be allowed and appreciated for generating. But this is the thing that I think they take too far, is like, we're all balances of feminine and masculine. And so just because the man is the masculine partner, or maybe it's a woman that's the masculine partner, it doesn't matter. We're talking about energy. But let's just take the normal, which, like, because I said, you know, masculine bodies do have in general masculine polarity because of hormones and biochemistry, and feminine bodies have feminine polarity. And that's why we choose to incarnate. That's why we choose that divine experience. Because no, people tell me souls don't have gender. No, they don't. But they choose a gender for the reason of being embodied, so we could play with polarity, right? And so where the polarity gets, I think, doesn't go far enough is when we limit it to, well, because he's the masculine gender, he should always be generating. No, there should never be an always, because co-creation doesn't have an always. So we're going to be generating in whatever way works. But as long as we know, as long as we keep in mind that, yeah, the masculine partner is going to feel nourished to get to generate, the feminine partner is going to feel nourished to get to receive. And as long as the two partners are in those roles the majority of the time, we're going to have a sustainable, fulfilling, nurturing partnership. But it doesn't exclude the possibility that at times there's a switch, there's a fun play, as long as that's not what takes over. And that's the issue that we have nowadays with the whole polarity switch that's happening, with women getting masculinized and men getting feminized, right? We're switching and we're staying in the switch. And that's the problem, because then we can't co-create. We can't co-create. But as long as we are in our own natural polarity, we're in our authentic power. If we occasionally dip into the other space, it's okay. It's not a problem. That's why I think we get stuck. People get stuck. Yeah,
beautiful. I love this. This is such a soft energy and flowy energy, giving so much permission for polarity not to be stagnant, but also be fluid and switch, and for masculine to receive and maybe be cuddled, and, you know, also to receive that soft feminine love.
Yeah, and still get to be a lion.
Yeah,
when he wants to. Yeah. Like, you know, masculine men in general, they don't want to be, I don't think they mind being cuddled, but another word in English is coddled. You know, they don't want to be coddled. They don't want to be mothered like little boys. They don't want that. So the energy switch is not going to be frequent. It's only going to be if it serves the couple. Like, for example, in my case, like when I'm working, my husband's baking bread with my little one. Does he become a woman because he's doing that? No, he's nurturing her. She's enjoying it. They're having fun, right? So what should we say? No, he should be working. He should be coaching because that's teaching and that's generative and that's masculine and I should go big bread. No. Yeah. That's the co-creation. You get to co-create what works for you.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. And I feel the fun and joy or whatever he's doing in the kitchen. It feels good.
Yeah, right? Like I had a client tell me my mom produced dinner, but the way she produced dinner was she banged pans and pots and everybody in the house knew she was miserable. Yeah. If the dad loves to cook and the mom hates it, switch. Like if the mom is going to be doing it in her masculine energy, oh, my earring fell. If the mom's going to be doing it in her masculine energy, that's going to exhaust her. Yeah. So you see, we're not talking about roles. We're talking about energy. Yeah. I know you coach couples. I know you work with polarity, but you also help women to realign and do the internal healing and transformation work to even call in that type of man that can be in that space of co-creation and synergy. I also know that you even help women do the dating profiles and make it fun for them so they don't have that much resistance to all of the online world. So tell us a little bit, how can a woman prepare herself? Let's say, okay, this all sounds good. You know, she sees the potential, she's in, but then what's next? Yeah. Well, it's really important for a woman to be very clear within her own self if she's a feminine polarity or a masculine polarity. That's like first and foremost. And so how you get clear on that is just Tantra is a beautiful way, I think, right, to learn about it. But if you study feminine and masculine energy, get clear on which one are you. And I think that the confusion for women doesn't come from, oh, am I really feminine? That's not where the confusion comes from. I think most women know in their gut that they're feminine. I think like one amazing polarity teacher, Pat Allen, she used to have this big, amazing saying, which she used to say, like, after you make love and you're going to the bathroom, on the way to the bathroom, your man is standing in the hallway. Do you want to be kissed? Do you want to be grabbed and kissed? Or do you want to be saluted? Right? Like, so you ask that to a woman, 99.9% of women are going to say, I want to be passionately kissed. Almost no woman is going to say, I want to be saluted. There's the occasional woman that's a masculine woman, and that's fine. She just needs an effeminate partner if she's heterosexual, right? It's not a problem. The problem is that women, they have that feminine, but we've been taught to hide it. We've had to work really hard to survive in a world that's been run by masculine energy in a lot of ways, right? Like we've been taught that masculine energy is successful, which is kind of crazy because while that sort of narrative has been happening for women, the opposite's been happening for men, which is an interesting social discussion, but I know it's not the purpose of this conversation, so I won't go there. But yeah, so it's just fascinating. The first thing to me, but the first thing would be for the woman to ask herself that question. Do you want to be kissed on the way to the bathroom after making love, or do you want to be saluted? If you know in your heart of hearts you want to be kissed, you're a feminine woman. If you're a feminine woman, that means that you are never going to be satisfied in a relationship if your man is not a masculine man, if he's not a healthy masculine man. So that is just the foundation right there. So your first criteria then when dating, when creating your dating profile, I always teach them to write it in Manglish. You know, like you need to be attracting first and foremost a masculine man, because it doesn't matter if he wants to travel to France. It doesn't matter if he likes to play Sega, you know, supersonic or whatever. Like I love to play supersonic. With, you know, it doesn't matter. If he's not a masculine man and you now know you're a feminine woman because you asked yourself that question I just gave you from Pat Allen, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I repeat, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So the first thing is to really get that and really understand that you're not going to change a man who's not a healthy masculine man. You can't change him. You can't heal him. You can't fix him. That's the other mistake that a lot of women make, is they don't know how to pick a healthy masculine man. They deep down know that they're a feminine being, but they don't give that enough weight. Like I'm telling you right here, right now, if you're a feminine being and you don't pick a masculine man, it's not going to work. You're going to be miserable for the rest of your life if you stay in that marriage. I'm sorry. It might work as a friendship. It might work as a team, but you'll never have eros. You'll never have passionate love. You'll never have that amazing sex 20 years later that you have if you have a masculine and a feminine being. There's so much more I could say about that, but I just want to take a breath there because I know I said a lot.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so that's the foundation. So if that woman who is now curious, open, and ready to explore, tuning in within herself and identifying, connecting to her feminine essence, if that feels aligned, and then moving into opportunity to connect with the masculine man.
Yes, and it has to be a masculine man. That has to be your first criteria. I'm sorry, nothing else matters. Masculine, healthy, and ready. Those are the three criteria. But if he's not a Christian, Emilia, I won't marry him if he's not a Christian. Will you marry him if he's a feminine Christian? Oh, you're right. Right? It doesn't matter if he's a Christian. If he's a feminine, then you're marrying a woman. You're not going to have a complementary union. You're not going to have a divine union.
Whew. Yeah.
I know it's a sobering thing, but I'm done. Like, you know, I'm not pandering anymore to anybody about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, it's just the reality.
Yeah. And I know you work with women getting their online profiles and dating strategies. And also from, you know, them going through the process of identifying, okay, I'm a feminine woman and I want a masculine man. Why do you feel it's so hard? I'm gonna use this word, but we can play with it. Why is it so hard to create successful relationships? Why it takes that so much effort, and why it's so much work?
Yeah, why does it suck so bad?
Yeah.
Because we live in a world of really terrible messages and programming and a lack of education about what a successful relationship is. And for you, if you're listening, you know, you may have already ventured in other areas and realized that this is the case in the world of finances, that you didn't get information and education about this. You might have already ventured and realized, oh, wait, I didn't really get really good health information either. Like, what did I learn at school, right? That is the big question. There's a lot of brainwashing. There's a lot of mainstream narratives that do not serve, And there is a bit of a rebelliousness that needs to happen. But I have a feeling that anybody that's here talking about something like ecstatic union has that rebel in them, because they're even here, right? Like they're considering the possibility that, hey, can there be ecstatic union? You're already a rebel if you're here. Okay, that's what I would say. You're already a rebel if you're here. So that's what it takes, and that's why it's so hard, because we have to rebel against the norm. It's not normal, but it doesn't mean it's not organic. It doesn't mean it's not organic. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's not normal, but it's actually divine blueprint and organic to us.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, this feels so good. And I remember your opening message about new relationship, creating new earth.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like that old programming needs to be cleaned up
and needs to go.
Yeah, it needs to
go.
So
thank you for doing this work and having me here, because this is it. This is the work. This is what we got to do. They're not going to put us on CNN.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not, it's just not, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
the revolution, you know, is not going to be televised. And this is part of the revolution. We need to claim our blueprint, our divine blueprint.
Yeah.
And step away from what we've been taught as is acceptable and normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there is an agenda of keeping us small and miserable and caught up in survival.
Yes.
So who the hell are you to create ecstatic and sacred unions? Right?
Right? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet you're here and you're putting this on and I'm here and we're listening.
Yes.
And I did somehow create this in my life, and I want to be very vulnerable and say, like, I still buy into the propaganda around bodies and health. I'm still working on cleaning out that brainwashing and loving my body. My body doesn't look like the cover of you know, Vogue or whatever. And I know in my mind, who cares, right? But to work through and come down to that deep love of like, oh, wait, I can just love her like this. And thinking about all those goddess statues and what they look like and what used to be revered as the feminine shape, right? Like all that programming, all that, like, I'm just giving that as an example because in my own life, I'm still caught up in it when it comes to like the body and the health and the feminine. But thankfully, because I started really early with the sacred union piece, and I know you didn't ask me this, but I just want to tell everybody why I'm here, why I got here and how, is because I always say I was such a disaster. You guys, I was such a disaster. I was constantly dating effeminate men. I was in my masculine. I had a really strong shield because I had to survive my childhood, as many of us women who've not had the, you know, the fairy tale of the family, right? Just a difficult upbringing, a lot of emotional abuse. So had to really redo all of that, recreate all of that and get and I did therapy. I did therapy for 10 years. And all my therapist ever said was like, well, your parents should have never had kids. And it was like, okay, but now what do I do? Like, where do I go to get the information of how to build this healthy relationship? That's all I wanted. I wanted a healthy relationship. I didn't even know about sacred union then. In my head, I was just running as far and as fast away from what I didn't want, which was not what I was modeled, right? And I ended up, you know, that saying, you know, shoot for this, for the moon, land, and the stars. Like I was running so far and so fast that I ended up in this destination of sacred union. But I wanted to say coaching, my coaches, that's who got me here. Coaching is what did it. Coaching is what taught me feminine, masculine energy. Coaching is what taught me to understand men. I worked with Alison Armstrong for 17 years, Pat Allen, Dr. Gray, John Gray, right? Like that, all that literature, that's what taught me. That's what taught me the Bible, funnily enough. Jesus as the divine masculine, right? That's the divine masculine. So just incredible things that are not of this earth is what we're meant for, is who we are as human beings, you know, and we're starting to come into that. And it's just a whole new world, world is coming.
Yeah. Heaven and earth, union, synergy, and co-creation.
And the kids, right? The kids that are going to be raised in these families. And it's not going to be perfect. There's still going to be humanity and errors and learning and growing and falling and getting up and mistakes. Yes. But are we going to have that terrible programming of like, oh, you could, you know, love is a sacrifice. Love costs too much. You know, true love is just fairy tales. Like all of those beliefs, all that kind of stuff we can clear.
Yeah. I love this. This is a very important piece. We have a lot of questions. The way the summit was born, we surveyed everyone from the previous summit. So that we have a lot of questions from women who are in partnerships and marriages and long-term relationships. And they're like, should I go? Is it doable? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? So I feel like that programming that you're talking about and that Disney fairy tale, sparkly, high love that is modeled in movies and everywhere. And then women are confused. Am I failing in marriage? You know, is he gonna ever meet me fully? So for those women, I know you are saying it's hard work, it's doable, and that's the way, right? Because through relationship, especially sacred partnership, we evolve as souls, and that's the whole purpose of sacred partnership. What would you tell those women that are doubting?
I would tell you you're in a hard spot because first of all, it's a hard path to walk when you're starting and you're already in a relationship and you already have 10, 20 years of patterning, right? It's a whole other chapter to start. Like, that's why I very rarely work with married couples. Actually, I mostly work with single women because I want them to get on the right path and having kids in the right sacred union families, right? It's not impossible. You can do it. And the first thing is, are you a feminine woman? It's just the same things applies. Are you a feminine woman? Do you know, do you know in your heart that you're a feminine woman? Okay, you're not being in your feminine. That's normal. If you're not being in your feminine, you probably have wounding and a heart wall and a warrior shield, which most of us women, we had to develop in order to survive. So you survived because of that. So those are the first two questions. Are you a feminine woman? Do you have a warrior shield and is it up? And third, are you with a masculine man? Because if you're not with a masculine man, I'm sorry, you can't fix it. I'm so sorry, but you cannot fix it. You can't make him masculine if he's not masculine. And because if you're feminine, but you had your warrior shield up, it's very possible you attracted a feminine man, which then is actually not your authentic sacred partner match, because it could be your soulmate in that, like you said, Emilia, it's taking you through that lesson so you could reclaim your authentic core polarity, which is feminine, right? But you can't change him. And if you were in that masculine shield, you were not living out of your authentic core. And so you attracted somebody who is in his feminine. So now the key would be to determine, is he feminine also because of survival? Because of how men are being brainwashed and manipulated by the mainstream narrative? Or is he actually feminine? And it could very well be that he's a masculine man, but he presented feminine because that was his survival strategy. And then maybe you guys do have the opportunity to come together and flip those polarities. I don't do that work. I'm sorry. I don't do that work. I don't work with couples in that way. There's amazing people that do. Allison Armstrong is one. Pat Allen is another one. You probably all do this kind of work.
I have few people.
But that is not I'm not an expert in helping the couples flip. But those would be the questions I would ask. What is my core polarity? Do I have a warrior wall? What is my partner's core polarity?
And then going deeper, because a lot of what you're saying is still self-investigation and owning those pieces. If I'm wearing a shield, is it me real or is it me protecting my heart?
Right.
And that's undressing and taking those layers away.
And it's interesting, like women, energetically feminine women, our energy is to receive, and that's what's healthy. And so if you find yourself unable to receive, if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, feeling drained, feeling like he's never there for you, feeling like resentful, those are all signs that you're in your masculine, but you're a feminine being.
Beautiful. Ooh,
Yeah.
such a powerful portal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing this work. It feels that the medicine is so strong, and that's our next vibrational task.
Yes.
Because we were in a position for such a long time, and with feminine empowerment and feminine rising, there was a moment when, there was a little bit of unease, and now it feels like we are coming back into union and into harmony and into polarity and dancing and playing and having so much fun together.
Yes. Yes. And we saw this incredible vision. A friend of mine that's also very spiritual. We were meditating on the beach one time, and we both had this vision where the feminine was the fire, like she was rising to cleanse and rising to purify and rising to like also the dark feminine, like destroy whatever doesn't serve, right? Like that purity. But the men, they were going on the outside.
Yeah.
And they were making the way. And see, without them making the way, she can't do her job, because they're the protectors, they're the warriors, they're the space givers, they're the land like mowers. They are doing that job. That's the divine masculine, right? And so it is coming back into union, and that is our sacred work now as feminine women in 2023, is to really claim our part in that, and also not step over into the masculine domain and take their honor away from them, because they have a job too, and they're honorably trying to do their best, just like we are, right? So everyone sort of get in their lane, not in the way that that's usually said, but in the way of like, that's when we're most powerful, is when we're naturally aligned with our core polarity, because that's how we can synergize in union.
Yeah, beautiful. And again, that image that you are describing, we have that in Tantra too. When women are the inner circle, and then men is the outer circle. So women can really feel the presence and support, and they can energetically lean and know that they're protected and they're safe. So you're channeling tantric codes, however.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently.
I mean, I know for sure I was like a priestess in several lives, but it's kind of crazy now, because I'm in like this very pure, like Jesus following life right now, and I just love it, because he was such an incredible rebellious leader, and also he was in a divine union with Mary Magdalene, by the way. So right. So and look at what they did for the world, right? I mean, just incredible. Yeah. So it's just a beautiful work. It's time. I mean, all the soul women, all the sisters listening, everyone who's here, it's time, and we're going. The men have got us. They have got us. They're done. They're also done. They're done, laying down. They're done. They're done with that. Yeah.
The time
it was you could see the energy in like the convoys that happened, the protests, like the masculine was rising, right along with us. So yeah, it's time. We're there. And yeah. So welcome.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
Such a powerful portal. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know you have a beautiful gift for our audience. It's a roadmap to tell us more.
I have the right guy checklist. It's very simple. If you're single and you want to create this kind of union, it's how to date for that. It's everything I have in that checklist. It's a simple name. It's the right guy checklist, but it's back engineered from the energy I was talking about. It's back engineered from how you're going to attract a masculine man who's healthy and who wants to be the generative energy. And how to know if he's ready for that kind of union.
Yeah.
So that's my gift, the right guy checklist, how to pick the right guy. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. How can people find you so that if they want to get to know more of your work, follow you, connect with you, what's the best way?
EmiliaNagy.com is my website, but I'm very active on Facebook, which is Emilia Nagy, Nagy, Love Coach. Emilia, Emilia, Emilia Nagy.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome.
You can find me there.
Yeah. Well, Emilia, thank you so much for being here. This was so magical.
Thank you for doing this. So amazing. Thank you for holding space for me so I could share this. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.